So let's go now to Arizona Congresswoman and former Air Force fighter pilot Martha McSally. McSally just returned from a trip to South Korea. She traveled to the DMZ area, meeting with U.S. forces ahead of the planned summit next month. We've been discussing, thoughts on the possibility of peace on the Korean Peninsula on this day, Memorial Day. I would also like to get your thoughts, of course, as retired military.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. And I was very moved to be in Korea and honoring over the 50,000 Americans who sacrificed their lives in that war. And today we are reminded of the over 1 million who have perished for our freedoms. Sometimes people come up to me on Memorial Day and say, thanks for your service. And I try to remind them that's what Veterans Day is for. Memorial Day are for those who paid the price with their lives in blood, with snuffed out potential for their future and grieving loved ones in order for us to have this conversation today and to keep us free. It was very moving to be over there. I got back last night, especially on the cusp of an opportunity to move forward to end the war in Korea.
I want to ask you some more about that, as we actually have some pictures of your trip that you just returned from. A lot of back and forth over the weekend in terms of whether the summit will happen, whether it will not happen. What direction do you see it going? You were just there.
I was. In fact, we were right at that village, that truce village of Panmunjom, about 3 hours before President Moon met with Kim Jong-un again in secret, and we were aware of that meeting as it was ongoing. I went over there extremely skeptical. I mean, there is a historic opening because of President Trump's leadership and the maximum pressure campaign, but I kept asking myself, what makes this different than the maneuvers of the past and the propaganda that really nothing changed because sanctions were relieved, and then they continued on their belligerent path. But I walked away with a couple of thoughts. I really believe there is a historic opportunity here. It's all up to Kim Jong-un what he decides to do. I'm so proud of our troops and their readiness and capability to fight tonight alongside the ROK Army if needed to defend the peninsula. I think the alliance is as strong as ever between us and South Korea, and the opportunity is certainly there to, can you think about this, to actually end the armistice and end the war for the first time. There was no peace treaty. It was just an end to the hostilities, but there's a lot that needs to change in order to make that happen.
You know, you mentioned the things that are different this time around. You talked about the sanctions. Something else that's different is the President of the United States being Donald Trump.
Yes.
And what do you think the significance is of that?
Well, that's exactly what I think is different. Under his leadership, the maximum pressure campaign is really showing that they're feeling the heat over there in North Korea, already an impoverished nation, but when the leadership and the elite start to feel it and it's cranking down on their resources, then that's an important shift. And also, this president is not going to make the mistakes of the past, where there are sanctions relief with a promise to move towards denuclearization, only for North Korea to turn around and continue on their belligerent path. I think we are very clear-eyed that what needs to come out of this is an agreement to the complete denuclearization that's irreversible of the peninsula before any sanctions relief is going to happen. That's what's different.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us on this very special day. It was great to hear from you. Thank you.
Thanks.